Hi everyone from Dunrovin Ranch in Lolo, Montana on a kind of a different kind of a summer afternoon where we just had a rainstorm, but that rainstorm was a snowstorm up in the mountains, and I hope that James will be able to kind of go by there with the web camera. You'll see new snow in the mountains. I'm here today with my husband. Can you say hello to everyone?
Hello.
This is my quiet off-camera husband. I don't know that you've ever been mic'd up with us before, have you?
Well, that was your other husband.
That was my other husband, yeah. Everybody knows this is my first and my last and my ex and my current husband, Sterling Miller. He is a world-renowned bear researcher, grizzly bears from Alaska, and you did a lot of work in both Alaska and Montana and British Columbia too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a...
and Pakistan.
Pakistan, yeah. We have a brown bear skull in our kitchen and a black bear skull. Brown bears are grizzly bears from Alaska. At any rate, we're here today for a very special reason. We had to help two of our animal friends pass this last week. Two animal friends that many of you have become very attached to, and certainly those of us living here had become very attached to. And that's being Bonnie and Clyde, our little Shetland ponies who have been with us for a little over a decade. And I'm standing here in front of a tree that is a very special tree, and Sterling helped me plant this tree. It's been 13 years since Power died. Power was sort of my main horse when I first got here in Montana, and he and I rode just thousands of miles in the back country. He was a really special horse for me. So Sterling arranged to have him cremated, and we buried his ashes under this beautiful flowering crabapple tree. And that started the tradition of planting a tree in the memory of special animals that have passed here at Dunrovin. I know many of you are aware of Annie's tree, which is now near the bird feeder on the bench, and we have Cool Dude's tree, which is an apricot tree in the orchard. And today we're going to plant a special tree for our Bonnie and Clyde. I have some snippets of hair from each of them in my hand, and let me tell you, you can't tell the difference. You can't tell which was which. As you know, Bonnie was Clyde's mother, and I rescued these ponies from a wonderful but kind of hard on their luck family some years ago in the Bitterroot Valley. I got a call from a woman who said, you know, somebody really needs to intervene and take these two little ponies. The family is very kind, but they just didn't have enough resources to feed these horses properly, and Bonnie at that point had already started down the bad road of moon blindness, so she was really struggling. And so I went and saw them, and I brought them home, and for a number of years they served as kids ponies, they were wonderful. And even though Bonnie was partially blind at that point, she could keep right up, and people loved riding her and riding Clyde. One of my favorite memories of this period of time was I came home one day, and there was this little 4-year-old boy with a little saddle on his hip, and I came walking through the gate, and he says, "I ride Clyde. I got to go saddle him up." And that was just so cute. They are so cute when they are that age. And he was just head over heels in love with Clyde. That was his horse, and by gosh, he was going to treat it right. And so Bonnie and Clyde were loved by many people throughout the years. And I know that some of you watched her go in a circle. She would walk in a circle, and the reason she did that is she had lost the last bit of sight in that one eye, and she kept following it, and she got into a habit of going in a circle, kind of following the light in that one eye that she had had. Her eye, the one eye, got so bad in terms of being painful that we had it removed. And again, one of my most beautiful memories of life at Dunrovin was the day we brought Bonnie back from her surgery. It was in the middle of winter, and I still have a recording of this. It was via the Nest camera with the ambient microphone. But the minute Jamie, who was the ranch manager then, let Bonnie out of the trailer, Clyde understood it was her. And he just erupted in this beautiful whinnying. And she would whinny back. And it was just the most profoundly beautiful greeting I've ever heard from two animals who were clearly bonded. He left his food and ran to the gate, anxious to see his mother. And that's the way they were until the very end. At the, with the last month or so, Clyde could barely get up. His leg hurt him so bad, his hoof. And it was clear to us that this was never going to get any better. There was nothing we really could do for him at this point. And it was not fair of us to try to keep him going with him in such abject pain. And we also knew that Bonnie would not survive the loss of Clyde. She depended on him for everything. She found her food with him. It would have just been heartbreaking to have her by herself. And she was well over 30 years old, quite ancient for a little pony. So we had the vet come out, and Kelly held Clyde while I held Bonnie. And I always used to say that Bonnie was the sweetest thing on four legs, and indeed she was. She was just a sweet, sweet pony to the very end. They felt no pain. We held them and stroked them and loved them up. And when afterwards we took some of the hair off of their tails, and we will plant this today under this tree that my wonderful husband bought for me recently. And I want to say a little bit about the tree too. The tree is what's called Paul's Scarlet. Paul's Scarlet Hawthorn. And the reason I chose that tree is our good friends Bev and Ed Bond, who are Days at Dunrovin members from Oklahoma. They came here in May of this year, and that was their 6th visit. They've been coming every year, and we so look forward to their visits. And they saw one of these hawthorn trees in our neighborhood. And I have been admiring this hawthorn tree for a long time too, but I never really did anything about it. But Bev, kind of spurred me on. She went back to Oklahoma and she looked up what the tree was like. I had taken some photos for her on my cell phone, and so to make sure she was getting the right tree, I went to the nursery here in Missoula and found out what tree it was, and then this was right about the time that this was happening with Bonnie and Clyde. So I decided this was the perfect kind of tree. It's beautiful, it's colorful, it's going to be a lovely shade tree, and it not only will remind me of Bonnie and Clyde, but will also remind me of Bev and Ed, whom I feel very fondly towards and who've come here a number of times. So let's go plant this tree. We've chosen a location that will not interfere with any of the other trees that we have, and it'll be kind of by itself, because in the spring it will show these beautiful red flowers, and this is a wonderful way to commemorate Bonnie and Clyde. So what I'm going to do is take the rubber band off of their tail hair, and I'm going to put it in this hole, and Sterling will put some manure on top of it so to fertilize the tree and plant the tree. And while he's doing that, I'm going to read a poem, and this poem was sent to me by Bev and Ed's daughter. She found it in a magazine. I don't know the author's name, and she did not either, but it really struck me as the right poem for life on a ranch when you have to help your equine friends cross over from this life to the next. It's not ever a fun thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. And so I'm going to put their fur, their tail fur right here, and they will fertilize this beautiful tree. And while Sterling is doing that, I'm going to read this poem that Bev and Ed's daughter had sent to me. For those of you who printed out the flyer, the poem is on the flyer, and you can follow along with me if you'd like. I hope to get through it without crying, but I may not, so excuse me if I do. If the day should come when I'm in pain, and you know I won't be well again, promise you'll do what must be done, if this is the battle that can't be won. It'll break your heart, but please be kind. Don't let your grieving sway your mind. For this is when you'll let me see how very much you do love me. Together we've had happy years. The future now can hold no fears. Please don't let me suffer so. When that day comes, please let me go. For my usual vet, please will you send, but stay with me until the end. Hold me steady, speak to me, till my once bright eyes no longer see. You see, I'm starting to cry. In time, I'll hope you see it's the last kindness you'll do for me. One more time, please stroke my mane and know that I'm no more in pain. And don't be sad that it was you who decided this was the thing to do. We've been such buddies through the years. Don't let me be the cause of tears. You'll always see me gaze now with the sun upon my back. Painful limbs won't tire me now, however long we hack. I live now in your heart and mind, a lovely place to stay, and you will have in your memories that no one can take away. So with that, I want to say goodbye to Bonnie and Clyde. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I appreciate it very much. I'll just put this right in here. I believe that in about 15 minutes, our Kelly Kozak will get Mr. Augie out, and we'll do some more training with him in the round pen. I hope you'll either come back or stay with us until that happens, but until then, I think I'm going to sign off, and I really appreciate your having been here today to help me commemorate a lovely little Bonnie and Clyde. Thank you. Bye.